Hi people, how have you been? It's been a long time since you guys last heard from me. I want to thank you all for your support, your comments, likes, sharing in matters of the heart group. I just want to tell you that there is no comment that you made there is a vain. Your aiming is not going to be in vain. Just trust God for a greater things. This minute I want to talk to especially men about husbands, how they should love their wives more than their mother. Lately I have talked to several women wives who feel like they have hit a wall in their marriages. These women will tell you that they have a happy thriving marriage in almost every way except for one huge elephant in the room, the relationship the husband has with their mother, and is an error. These women feel pushed aside whenever their mother-in-law is around because their husband places his mother's needs, desires, and opinions ahead of his wife's, and their mother-in-law criticizes how they keep the house, dress, cook, take care of the children, discipline them, and tend to their husband's needs. There's nothing they do that is always good. It's always, you don't know how to do this and do that, and they complain a lot. These wives want to have a good relationship with their mother-in-law, but they don't feel accepted by her. Instead of a healthy, supportive relationship, they have a negative, conflicting relationship where both women feel threatened by the other. When I asked each of these wives to explain to me their situations to me, I noticed several feelings they had in common. They feel disrespected, patronized, and overshadowed by their mother-in-laws. But more than anything, they are frustrated with their husbands for not standing up for them and allowing this relationship to continue. Unhealthy parent-child relationships can certainly happen on both sides of the wedding areas, but I want to speak specifically address the mother-son relationship in this talk. As a married couple, we should do whatever we can to show love and respect to and maintain peace with our extended families, but it must never be at the expense of our marriage. Bear that in mind. Never be at the expense of our marriage. Our parents must understand that it is not their place to govern us of our marriage. We need their support and encouragement, and welcome their wisdom when we ask for it, but they need to respect us, our spouse, our marriage, and our privacy. Wives, maybe you can relate to the women I mentioned in the beginning. Do you feel like you are constantly at odds with your mother-in-laws, or your husband make excuses for his mother all the time, negative behavior towards you? Do you and your husband often argue about his mother and the way she treats you? Most importantly, have you done all you can to be at peace with her to no avail? Have you consistently welcomed her into your home and spoken to her kindly, but your mother-in-law won't receive it or reciprocate it? Husbands, you might be having these conversations with your wife right now, and you are probably thinking, my mom is a grown-up woman who makes her own decisions. I can't help how she feels about my wife or how she chooses to treat her. Men, this is a huge issue that must be addressed right away. You must love your wife enough to stand up for your marriage, even to your own mother. You cannot make excuses for your mother or allow her to mistreat your wife. Never. Never is that word, never. And anytime your mother speaks negatively about your wife or expresses her disdain for your marriage and family in one time too many, no, is that what you're gonna tell her? You cannot control what she says, yes, or does, but you have the power to tell her to stop. All you and your wife can leave if she continues you have to let her know how important it is. Your mom needs to hear you say that. She needs to hear you tell her that her controlling and passive, aggressive, and polarizing demeanor towards your wife and married must stop. Tell her that she must speak kindly and to your wife in your presence or absence your presence, not just in your presence, and you have to let her understand it, like make her to understand in a peaceful way. It's important that you say all these things in most respectful possible, but it must be addressed directly. You must understand in a polite way, but make it in a way that she will understand it and not feel bad, not in a disrespectful way. Your wife should not feel like she has to compete with your mother for your love, respect, and adoration. You can have a great marriage and a great relationship with your mom. Yes, nobody says that you shouldn't have such, but your marriage has to come first. Because the kind of love you feel for your wife is a different kind of love you feel for your mother. You can love them both, but you can love them both, but you must tend to your wife's needs first before you tend to your mother's needs. No exceptions. I repeat, no exceptions. And then another thing you're going to look into today is when we marry, our relationship with our parents has to change. When we marry, our first allegiance belongs to God, then our spouse, then our parents. This isn't something I came up with. I'm not just the one that came up with this. It's how God designed the marriage in Genesis chapter 2 verse 25-26. That is why a man, Genesis 2 verse 24, it says that is why a man leaves his father and mother and is united to his wife, and they become on one flesh. I didn't say so, God said so. So for the father, God said so. Isn't it better you do what God says, not what Mrs. Daniel says? It's not what Mama said. This is something God said. Another thing there is unity. Unity is a must in your marriage. Two cannot become one unless they are unified. This means a husband and wife are on the same page and moving in the same directions. Physically, emotionally, and spiritually, this can happen when a husband feels like loving his wife will somehow keep him from loving and respecting his mother. No, loving your wife and loving your wife are two completely different experiences. Yes, husbands, your mother is part of you. Yes, we agree. She raised you and was the first woman to love you and will love you forever. I have this woman that whenever she comes to visit her daughter-in-law, and whenever there is misunderstanding, she doesn't really caution the both. She just go one-sided to the son and then trying to create a picture of the son I carried in my womb for 9 months. My son I suffered for. Why wouldn't this girl respect my son? Why wouldn't this girl treat him like a king? And then he becomes one-sided. She doesn't want to know what transpired between the wife and the husband. And then the wife now feel like she doesn't have a mother. I guess so. So, husband, you have to really put this at work. We know that you love your mother and there's nothing we can do about that, and your mother loves you and she's the only mother you have, but she is not your wife. I will repeat it over and over again. Your mother is not your wife. Your mother is not your wife. Your mother is not your. Let it sink into your brain. Understand it, that your mother is not your wife. She cannot play the role of a wife. She's just your mother and not your wife. Understand it, that she is your mother. What did I say? She is your mother. She's not your wife. Please, don't just misplace things. And then she may have had time letting go, but she must relinquish control for the sake of your marriage, and you have to gently but directly tell her the vital truth. I'm not going to talk much on this. Your mom will always be your mother, like I said, and you will always be her son, nothing about that, and nothing can change that. But your wife deserves your full devotion. Any other person is set apart. You should understand your mother, your sisters, your brothers, your extended family. Now you have your own family. Remember that you vow to love her, you vow to protect her, and even give your very life for her. I know most of them are saying my life for her is my Jesus. Forget about that. That's a different kind of love, a love that can only be experienced when we offer our full heart to our spouse. So, thank you so much. This is where I'll stop. Thank you so much for your time, for your listening, for everything. I love you guys. Keep dancing, keep everything, commenting, liking, calls, and all that. I love you all. God bless you. Mwah.